been a fantastic couple of years. I've really enjoyed myself. Anyway, what equipment do I use? Well, a lot of you regulars would know I'd use a Nikon D500, and my main lens for wildlife is a Sigma 150 to 600mm contemporary. Now, ISO, a lot of people think that it's an acronym, but apparently I found out it's not an acronym, it's just what they call it. Aperture. Now, aperture is the size of the opening within the lens. It's like a small round ring. Exposure compensation, which works pretty much in tandem with your ISO. How do I compose my images? With wildlife and birds, you want to be at eye level. I can't stress this enough. A lot of images that people take is where they're sat up and then shooting down or up. And this video is absolutely fantastic. I just took a little break and looked out of this line, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 pheasants, 5 female and 1 male, sat on a fence over there. I've taken a picture, so if they're okay, I'll put them up for you. But yeah, amazing that. Good morning everyone, welcome back. As you saw last week, I was doing a bit about what I've learnt over the last 2 years, so let's get back to it. Telling you about what I've learnt over the last couple of years doing this wildlife and bird photography. I went into all the settings and that I used last week. This week it's a bit more about behind the scenes. I've learnt a lot more about photo editing. Just about every photographer, sorry, I'm drinking a coffee at the moment, that's why you can see all the steam rising. But yeah, I've learnt a lot more about photo editing, like I said, than I knew existed. Obviously, every photographer edits the photos in one form or another. Otherwise you'd never get to see the photos. Even if you put them into a program like Lightroom or Luminar 4 or something. I'm not affiliated with either of them, but that's just what I use. Even if you put it into those programs and then just print it out, you've still processed that picture. Now, I shoot my images in RAW. There's 2 types, there's RAW and JPEG. I tend to use RAW because it can give you a better range of what you can do with your picture as JPEG. JPEG's great. I mean, you can do a lot with JPEG, but with RAW you can just do that little bit more. You can do more with, if it's really dark, you can pull up the exposure and you'll see all the detail just come through. Whereas JPEG, you might not be able to do that. That's why I tend to use RAW rather than JPEG. But yeah, you can crop pictures down, and when you crop them down, it also zooms in, which I wasn't too sure about in the beginning. But yeah, I've cropped some pictures and got some nice ones out of it. But if you crop in too far, it can destroy the image quality. So I tend to leave them as I've taken them out of the camera. I mean, I'll do little bits like adjusting the exposure sometimes, the clarity, the texture, the vibrance sometimes if I think it looks a little dull. As far as cropping, I don't tend to do too much unless there's something really in the image that I don't like, because like I said, if you go too far in, you can destroy the image. I'll maybe show you with some of these photos that I've taken where I've cropped in a little bit to get a nice image but then cropped in too much to show you just one bird. But yeah, that's a little bit about the imaging I do. YouTube, I've learned how to, they're not the greatest videos, I understand that, but and pheasants have just flown off. Like I said, they're not the greatest quality videos, but I'm getting slowly better. If you watch some of my earlier ones from a couple of months ago, they're maybe not as good the quality as now. I'm getting distracted by all the birds again. But yeah, I've learnt how to upload the videos through YouTube. I basically used YouTube for everything on what I've learned, because I've not really had any lessons on how to do photography. A little bit later, in the year, in December, I'm going down to Norfolk to hopefully photograph the grey seals if we're out of all this COVID, with a fantastic photographer. His name's Steve Hedges, and I'll leave a link to him down below. He's helped me a lot, him and another friend that I've got. I've been able to even call him up on occasion, and he's given me a little bit of advice. He's helped me with the imaging stage of it, well, composition stage of my images as well. He's a fantastic bloke, and he's got a really good YouTube channel as well, which I'll also leave a link to maybe up here. Like I said, he's helped a lot, and I follow a lot of people on YouTube. Some of you watch my channel, which I'm very grateful for. I'd like to say hi to Joe and Keith. You know who you are. Every week they're watching my videos, and just thank you from the bottom of my heart. It helps me keep doing what I'm doing. And so big thumbs up to you three. Who else? Well, what else should I say? I was thinking of printing out my own images, but unfortunately I haven't got the room to put in a printer to do the size of images I want, because I'd like to print A3 images. Now, to get a printer to print A3, you need quite a bit of room, as it turns out, and the cost of the paper and the ink, I'm just not sure it'd be viable at this time. What else have I done? I've made my own website, which there's a link down below for that as well. Yeah, I've learnt a lot. The hardest thing for me to learn is the birds, all the different types of birds. There's birds from your common ones like house sparrows to the more exotic ones. And I joined the RSPB, which some of you may know. I'll put another link above to a video I did with an RSPB volunteer called Stephen Rose. Fantastic fella. He's helped me out quite a bit as well. RSPB, when I joined up, sent me a book of British birds. It's a fantastic book. I think one of my earlier videos I touched on that when we were in lockdown and I was photographing birds in the back garden. It's a fantastic book, but I'm looking for something with better quality images. The pictures of the birds in the RSPB book, they're hand drawn and coloured, whereas I get more use out of maybe a photograph of the certain bird I'm looking at. I mean, yeah, it's helped me identify a lot of birds, don't get me wrong, but and I'll always keep that book. I maybe, if I get a different book, I maybe put it in my backpack, the RSPB one. But yeah, like I say, most of the things I've learned has been on YouTube, just typing in different subjects and watching videos about it, like how to start my websites and the best way of approaching animals. Like Steve Hedges has done quite a few videos on that. My one friend that I've been out with, who I featured in a video not so long back when I went to a canal, he's told me a lot about how to approach animals as well, because he's into the conservation side. He's also a photographer. He does a lot of things. He's a fantastic fella. I don't know where he finds the time. Oh, a couple of more hens just down here. And basically, meeting people. That's the best way you can learn. Go out there, whether it be a nature reserve or whatever, you'll always find someone who knows a lot more about the wildlife than you yourself. And ask them questions. Don't be afraid. You don't know. They might. And they'll, more times than not, they'll be happy to pass on that information. So talk to people. What else is there? I'm sure I'll think of something in a second here. Oh yeah, be prepared. If you're going out somewhere, there's nothing worse than not being prepared for what you're doing. If you're going out for a couple of hours, you can go a couple of hours without a drink. But if you're going out all day, make a flask. Or take some water with you. Water would be better, in fact. But if it's cold, a bit like today, you can't beat a nice cuppa. Snack bars. Take some snack bars with you. Or if you're planning on going out all day, take some sandwiches. Just something to eat and drink. You never know what's going to happen. Wear something, decent footwear, should I say. If you haven't got decent footwear, you're going to be in pain. And if you've walked a couple of miles, maybe up to 10, and you're in pain, you're going to feel that for a week or two later. Let me adjust this camera a little bit. It looks to be falling down. There we go. So yeah, so always be prepared. Wear decent clothing if it's going to come cool. So layer up, that's good as well. I mean, summer, if it's blazing hot sun, you want something to cover your body because you don't want to get burnt. Wear sunscreen, because you get sunburnt too many times, you can end up with bad things happening, which I don't want to go into. So always be prepared. Get a decent backpack that can fit everything. This backpack I've got, it's a Mindshift 36 litre. Fantastic bag. It'll fit this camera with the lens attached in. It can fit another 2, maybe even 3 bodies in, plus lenses to go with them bodies. They won't all be attached, but it'll fit them in. I'll fit my flask in there, I can fit a tripod in the side, I can get a change of clothes in the front. It's a fantastic bag. It's not cheap by any stretch. I mean, I think this cost me just over a couple of £100, but fantastic investment, and it's not too heavy. I mean, at the moment I can carry it with one finger, but once you've got everything in, it gets pretty weighty. But once you get it on your back, it's you hardly feel it, to be honest. and it's also a rear loading, so you can lay it down on the floor, and when you put it back on your back, it won't be dirty where you put it on your back. So that's one of the reasons why I chose this bag, because of it being rear loading, and it'll carry my D500 with this fairly big lens, the 150 to 600. I mean, if I take this off, put that round, that's the size of the camera and lens. Not a lot of bags will carry a lens, this camera and lens with them both attached, but this bag will. So let me know what bag you like. I've been interested to find out. It may not be the last bag I ever buy, because it gets a fair bit of use, does this bag. But yeah, memory cards for your camera. I forgot to mention about that. This camera takes 2 memory cards in this little slot here. You've got your XQD memory card there, I don't know if you can see, and then you've got an SD up here, I believe. Not, sorry, wrong way around. The XQD's up here and the SD's down here. The XQD cards are not cheap. For a 64GB you're talking about £140, which I was lucky enough when I bought this this camera body, they gave me a deal on the XQD card, but I'm in the process of getting a backup. The SD cards work just as good as the XQD, but once you start getting into the 128GB and up, they start getting, I won't say too expensive, but they're not too cheap. They're about the £60 to £70 mark. But yeah, have plenty of memory with you, as in memory cards, that is. Because you never know when you're going to fill a card. I can take about 1,200 images on this camera, whereas a full frame, a mate has the same size card, but he can only get 500 images, so he's flipping cards a lot more, judging on what size of file he uses. But I have mine set at like high resolution, high quality, because I shoot RAW. If you're shooting JPEG, you can choose high, medium or small files. So I would suggest going with a large file, the biggest you can, because it records the most information, I believe. But yeah, memory cards, you can probably never have enough. I'm looking to buy some more before I have my trip down to Norfolk. So that's a little bit about the memory cards. I just remembered, another great person to watch is Morten Hilmer. He has one fantastic channel. He goes all over photographing. Some of the conditions he's been in, I could never see myself. I mean, he's been to the Arctic Circle, photographing the Arctic foxes, which is a fantastic video. If you go to his channel, look out for that. I'm just trying to think of the name of the island that he went to. It'll come to me. But yeah, he's another fantastic wildlife photographer. Some of his images, I'll be happy if I ever get to a level half as good as that. Anyway, let me know what you think. It's been a fantastic couple of years. I'll maybe do another video like this, or see a couple of videos like this in another couple of years where I can tell you a lot more about the technical side of things. But that's pretty much what I've learnt over the last couple of years of doing this. Last week I told you about some exciting news. Anyone who wants to download an image can do at the moment and get 25% off using the promo code below. It's SVP all set. Now the SVP is capitalised. Best thing to do is just copy it and paste it, and it'll give you 25% off your total order of what's in the shop. But yeah, it's been a fantastic journey so far. I've really enjoyed it. So if you've liked what I've been talking about, I know it's been a little bit different, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. It'd be great to have you here. If you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell notification and set it to all notifications. That way any videos I put up you'll be notified. And stay safe in these uncertain times, and we'll see each other again soon. Bye for now. Bye.